What's up? What it is? I want to do this video. Okay. I want to talk about my issues with Irene Yvette. Okay. And this is another prominent female YouTuber who, she does some good things. She does some not so good things. I mean, there are attributes about her that are good. And then there are attributes about her that are not good. And then there are things about her that just make you scratch her head. And I wanted to analyze that in this video. First of all, I understand a lot of guys like Irene Yvette because she has this feminine exterior and she always says a lot of pro-male things. And I've seen her say those things in back when Hangouts was still up. She was all in all these different Hangouts. She would say pro-male things and make pro-male videos. But then, like, the people she kicked it with and the people she was around didn't really match some of the things that she was saying. And see, that's another thing. There's a lot of people on YouTube who, for whatever reason, all right, who they kick it with doesn't really match their rhetoric or what they be saying, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? And Irene Yvette is one of those people. Okay, she's one of those people. Okay, you're gonna have videos on your channel talking about fathers, the glue of society, and then you kicking it with people who hate black men and just want to taunt black men, like fucking Cynthia G. That always got me. It was her, it was Cynthia G, Irene, and Nyla. And they were like the trio. They all kicked it with each other, all on Nyla's channel. Okay, when Hangouts was still up. And I don't know how active she is with them now, because like I said, I don't watch. I'm guessing she probably is. I don't watch Nyla Says like that, but it's very problematic. You want to have this pro-male exterior, but yet you kick it with people like Cynthia G, who hates black men, and then Nyla Says, who is a matriarchal black woman. Okay, that's who you kick it with. That's who you choose to go and be friends with. You couldn't go find any other females to be friends with other than them. That's who you choose to kick it with and be buddy with. I mean, there are so many other black women who actually are traditional and feminine and all that on YouTube that Irene could have went and kicked it with. There's so many other. Instead, she went to kick it with Cynthia G and Irene and Nyla Says and Ren and shit. And then another thing, she calls herself a conservative. She says she's a conservative. Okay? But the question is, what type of conservative are you? What type of conservative, if all you gotta do is kick it with, all these people who are pushing anything but conservative values? kicking it with Taz and stuff, and all Taz want to do is sit up there and talk about white supremacy and how white supremacy has victimized him and low class hood niggas like him throughout his life. That's all he sits up there and talks about. And Nyla says it's matriarchal, and then Cynthia G hates black men because of her relationship with her father, and she takes it out on black men. That's who she kicks it with. But she calls herself this conservative. You ask her why? Why is she kicking it with people like that? Does she feel some kind of sympathy for them? Is there some sort of thing in her that makes her sympathetic to Nyla and all of them, and makes her feel sorry for them and want to, that whole kind of thing? Why is she kicking it with them like that? I don't get it. And then in the videos that I have seen of her, and then we gonna get into like when Taz attacked her in a minute, but in the videos, first let me talk about the Taz thing first. When Taz cussed her out, okay, on Nyla's channel, called her all kind of bitches, and basically Taz went on like a fucking class rage rant against her because she grew up middle class, and he started fucking with her and just attacking her on that. Okay. She still went out and hung out with them. That something about that didn't rub me right. I know Suge talked about that on his channel a lot. Okay. But there's something to be said about someone who gets totally disrespected, and then you still want to go hang out with that group of people. That lets me know you don't know yourself. That's what that lets me know. That lets me know you do not know yourself. There's a lot of people who don't want to subscribe to her because she doesn't know herself. Hey, no dignified, self-assured person is just going to allow themselves to be attacked like that and disrespected and that kind of thing, and then still go and hang out with those motherfuckers. This is, you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, no one's gonna do that. You know what I mean? And the fact that she did that, it makes you say, okay, why should I subscribe to this person? This person has no sense of self-awareness. They have no sense of resolve or anything. They're going to continue to hang out with people who disrespect them. They don't have the courage to just go and branch out on their own and say, you know what, I'm not going to take this. I'm just going to go promote my own platform. She didn't do that. She wanted to stay up under Nyla and Cynthia and Ren and okay. And Taz attacked her viciously. Like, he came at her. What that was is Taz never liked her anyways, but he tolerated her because Nyla and fucking Cynthia dealt with her. But Nyla sat there silent while Taz did it. She sat there silent as a church mouse, and she let Taz rip into her. But one thing I give her credit for, Okay, one thing I give her credit for is that I feel like, you know, I feel like she did stand up for herself at least. Okay? She did stand up for herself. Alright, she stood up for herself. But Nyla just, and that always, that creeped me out about Nyla too. Like, Nyla will just sit there while Taz goes on these verbally violent rage rants and shit, and Nyla will just sit there and watch him do that shit. That's creepy to me. Who, like, you gonna be in a relationship with someone, and whenever they have an outburst and you know, attack other people, you're not gonna say anything? You just gonna sit there? You know, and then what made Irene go back and hang out with them? And I'm starting to think Irene might be a masochist. She might like it. Some people like abuse. Some people like to be abused, believe it or not. There are masochists out there that like to be abused. And when people abuse them, they take it. They sit there and they take it. They don't really, you know, they don't stand up for themselves. They tolerate the shit. You know, so that's another thing. Alright. And then I never hear Irene try to counsel Cynthia G. Cynthia G has all kind of mental problems and stuff stemming from her daddy being on drugs and abandoning her as a child, so therefore she hates black men, and her life's mission is to taunt black men and you know, pick at black men. She gets sexual pleasure out of that. Okay. And Irene doesn't try to counsel her, try to make her better. She just lets Cynthia just exist in that depraved type of state. And she just continues to hang around her. That's why I say, you know, Irene Yvette doesn't know herself. She doesn't know herself. She doesn't know people. Okay, then you want to make all these so-called these videos, these humanitarian videos about black people in Africa and black people on some remote island on the other side of the ocean that the white tourists are exploiting and stuff that you can't do anything for. Then she tries to be like a humanitarian. First of all, I reject that. I always rejected that about Irene Yvette. Stop making these videos like black people are this humanitarian case. That's what white people do. A lot of white philanthropists and stuff do that because, number one, they can make money off of it. And number two, it absolves them as white people. It allows them to give them the illusion that they're helping other disenfranchised people, and they're actually hurting those people. When you just go to these other parts of the world and you give these other people humanitarian aid for free, those people will never develop their own economy. They will never develop a means by which to take care of themselves and produce their own prosperity because you keep giving them free ass shit. And Irene has that same tone. Now, that's what makes me think that before Irene came on black YouTube, she probably used to hang out with a lot of white people, and I guarantee you she probably used to hang out with a lot of white women. I guarantee you that. Because her whole tone and her That's what these white women do. They go to these Save the African Children rallies and they have these emotional orgies and cry. And that's another thing. Irene have all these emotional orgies and crying for no fucking reason on her channel, crying about some people that live on the other side of the planet she can't even do shit for. You know what I mean? That shit got fucking annoying. That shit is annoying. Okay? But you want to make all of these so-called humanitarian videos, which are done always with this white undertone. That's how people know, Irene, that you used to hang out with a lot of white ladies. Before you started hanging out with Cynthia and Nyla, you was just hanging out with nothing but white ladies. Probably didn't even hang out around black. You probably didn't even have any black friends. Okay? That's why people feel like you don't know yourself. There's a lot of self-actualization you still have to go through, even just as a black person. And don't get me started on her physical appearance. She looks like she's had a nose job. On the videos where she shows her face, it's obvious she's had some kind of nose job, and it looks nasty. It just looks nasty. You know, it just looks nasty. You know. And yes, she was married to a white guy for like, was it 10 years or whatever? I don't know. You married to a white guy. And then another thing I don't like is she tries to tell black people how black people should be. And I don't like that. I reject that. She said she was in a hangout and another black person was talking about Africa. And she said that the black person said, we should just go over to Africa and take Africa over. And then Irene was like, well, that's the white people's mentality. I don't want us to become like white people. But she did it in this whole pseudo emotional way and all of that. And my thing is like, okay, if you're going to say that to black people, did you say that to your white husband when you was with him? Did you tell him how to be? Did you try to counsel and coach him and his white family and other white people about how they should be when you were with him? Because if not, you shouldn't do that around black people. You shouldn't come around black people and get on this emotional high horse and try to tell other black people how they should be or how they should operate or what they should do. I rejected that wholeheartedly. You know, I really rejected that. Alright. And that's been my issue with her. And then she was always all on motherfucking O'Shea's channel and shit. But O'Shea put her off his channel at one point, I think. But she was, once she got put off of O'Shea's channel, I think that's when she started really going hard to hang out with Cynthia and Nyla and them and shit. You know what I mean? And all of that. You know, so I don't like how she tries to talk down to black people and tell them how they should be. I reject that. I have always rejected that. You know what I mean? I don't like that. You know. And, you know, she makes all these social justice videos and all this stuff on her channel. you know, and all this stuff. All this black stuff on her channel, and she probably wasn't even talking about, this is probably the first time in her life if she's ever even really talked about black stuff, in my opinion, you know. So, you know, and then the people who she kicks it with are just really fucked up. Really fucked up. And she doesn't try to make them better. She just kicks it with them, and she goes around them, you know, and but it doesn't make them better though. And that's my issue with Irene Yvette, you know. So get the likes up. Let me know what y'all think of this video. I'm gonna cut it off right here for now, but let me know what y'all think. Peace.